was, you know what I'm saying? Like, leave sexuality, whether you
Mm-hmm.
straight, you swinging for whatever team you swinging for, leave it all out of kid stuff, man. I'm
Mm-hmm.
cool with that. Leave it all out of kid stuff because I don't care what people say. I don't think it brainwashes, but children are impressionable.
Yeah.
If you keep, like, and psychologists have said this. So to all the people, and it's funny because I see a lot of women jumping at this. So all the people who say, "Oh, a show is not gonna make your kid, quote unquote, whatever." No, what it does is it inquires your child's mind to
Mm-hmm.
experiment with different things that they don't necessarily need to be experimenting with because they're children.
And see, that's another thing that I don't even know if this was posted in the chat earlier, if I just saw it, but like a big thing about that, everything has a place. So when it comes to sexuality, gay, lesbian, whatever, I honestly feel like that shit should be taught in sex ed. Like that's the time to talk about those things because that is the time when hormones are peaked. That is the time when hormones are even discussed, what it means to feel how you feel. It should be discussed there, not put on the cartoon shows, not put the movies where the children are just seeing it and they're like, oh, what does this mean? No, it should be in a class situation. It should be where there can be an educational purpose behind it to where you can understand who you are. It'll almost be more like therapy.
I'm gonna talk about that in a sec. Yo, Alpha, you wanna we gonna stay on that one. Alpha, you got anything to say about that? Where sexuality should be taught in sex ed?
I mean, I don't even nah. I Cause for me, bro, it's like, and I don't have nothing against this shit. I just feel like people need to understand, like, even especially them that, since you take this lifestyle, whatever, for one, this is the first thing. Since you want to take this lifestyle, you understand, like, you going against nature, my nigga, like, cause we all meant to procreate. You took that away from yourself. Two, you can't. I don't want my kids watching this because I'm trying to raise my kids. Like, I can't. You're making it difficult for me to raise my kid. Like, cause I might not want my kid to be like that. You know what I'm saying? But and then three, in sex ed, you need to be learning about, getting clapped, condoms and shit like that. You feel what I'm saying? Like, sexuality should need to be like even be taught. Period. Like,
See, here's why I say that though. We all grew up and been around shit we had no business around at some point, and we had to learn from those people that was around. If it is in a class setting, all questions, all thoughts, everything can be discussed, and you could possibly avoid shit that you don't know about, where somebody could introduce to you and get over you on. Like,
I'm.
there's a
Mm,
lot of shit out there. It's a lot of different types of lifestyles, a lot of different types of people, and those people don't necessarily always move with a positive reinforcement of their lifestyle. So in the event of avoiding our young from getting got, if they can see exactly what's going on, know what taking this step will get them in this lifestyle, as opposed to taking this step and living the traditional lifestyle. There, because honestly, a lot of the what I think anyway. This is just my opinion. A lot of what the LGBT community is reactive instead of proactive. I feel like a lot of people, from the few people that have talked to me about their actual lives of what they say made them like men or like women or whatever, a lot of it was due to trauma. A lot of it was due to not knowing. A lot of it was due to experimenting. Oh, I like it. I'm going to keep doing it without knowing the repercussions. There are repercussions. Is the repercussions right or wrong? That's depending on the person. but there are repercussions. And I feel like a lot of people back then did not necessarily know what the repercussions could be from being gay, lesbian,
But
non-binary, any of that.
I feel like when it comes to when it comes to like the sexuality, like being taught sexuality, the lifestyle and shit, that should come from the parents. Like that's something you should really like sit like as a parent, like you should like sit down with your. I don't have kids, bro. You feel what I'm saying? So I'm just thinking like if it was me right now, like I would really just sit down one day and just at a certain age, I want to bring it like but they young and shit, but like at a certain age, I'd be like, so
But
what you
see,
like?
that's why I said I think it needs to be. That's why I
You
said I
know,
think it needs to be discussed in sex
and
ed.
some things you really gotta be on some parents and shit. Like that's some parents, like especially nowadays with this shit going on, cause we didn't have this back in the day. You feel what
Right,
I'm saying?
right.
You feel? But like that, like somebody always say, you can't really raise your kid how your parents raised you because they raised you for they didn't even know how to raise you for what the fuck was going on for real, for
But
real.
see, that's
Yeah,
why I
that
say
with
that's
food. You know what I'm saying? Like, but like we got a lot like us the kids now, bro. It's a
yeah.
lot of it's a lot of shit. Nigga,
But see,
schools
that's why I say that's why I say
right.
it should be taught in sex ed because at that point, the parent, because I mean, when I was in sex ed, the parent had the option to say, no, I don't want my child in this yet, or no, I'm going to teach them my own and omit him from this class. At that point, you're at least getting a warning of, hey, this may be talked about in this curriculum. If you do not want your child to participate, you can have them omitted or do your own thing. At least in that point of sexuality being taught in sex ed, we have a little bit more say so. That's the only thing I'm saying about that.
All right, I'm gonna tag myself in here. I get what both of y'all are saying. As a dad who has a child taking family life,
Wait,
and
what?
me, yeah, it's more about them learning about puberty.
They
They're
start.
learning, yeah, because girls start puberty. They can start puberty as early as 9.
Yeah.
So
I,
yeah, like it. Yeah, nah, they don't get into the the sex stuff. No, they don't get into that. They get into, this is how your body's gonna change, how to wear proper deodorant. They teach the girls about menstruation and stuff like that. Like that's and that's and when they talk about, you know, body parts, they separate them. They separate the
okay.
kids. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It
Hold
ain't trust.
on,
Come on, man.
because I remember that shit. We was all in one room. It didn't separate till like the last day or whatever when it got the real shit. But yeah, I'm like,
but
I ain't my princess learn about this shit right now.
here's my thing. I am of the mindset of sex ed should be strictly about sex. Now, I get what you're saying about sexuality, but here is where I'm gonna give you a little pushback. I do not trust these political agendas. And who creates these school curriculums? The politicians.
That's true.
Exactly.
That's true.
And
So
That's true.
if you live in, and I'm gonna play devil's advocate on both sides. If you live in a conservative state, if you know that state is like radically conservative, they're gonna shit on all of the other sexualities if you allow them to put that in the curriculum. They're not gonna put it in the curriculum. They're gonna be like, no, it's wrong. You shouldn't do it. Whereas if you live in a radically liberal state, they're gonna put everything in there and they're gonna push that to your kid to wanna, experiment and all that other shit. The radical liberals They push sexual liberation. I don't want anybody telling my daughter that it is okay to be quote unquote sexually liberated. I think it is a dangerous slope when you start putting lifestyle choices into curriculums of children. So, what I believe should be taught is straight sexual intercourse, STDs, all of
Right,
that.
right,
And I
right,
think there should be maybe a mention of, you know, sex doesn't have to be strictly between men and women, but there are dangers to that as well. Leave it at that. I'm of the mindset of you need to tell, you need to have that talk with your kids. I give you a prime example because my daughter, she's in grade school. She's in elementary school. When she was in first grade, the first week of school, she came home and she was like, "Daddy, you storytelling me." I'm like, "What you talking about? I ain't lie to you." And she like, "You told me boys are not allowed to wear dresses." She was in first grade. In the lunchroom, there was a little boy in a dress. But growing up, when we would go clothes shopping, I would show her the difference between boy clothes and girl clothes because there's a boys section and a girls section, and how the clothes would fit. And you see how there's dresses and skirts in the girls section, and in the boys section there's not. And my daughter's a girly girl. Like if she could wear skirts and dresses every day, she would. That's her thing. She don't like wearing pants. So of her mind, it's like daddy has been telling me the difference between boys and girls my whole life, but I start first grade, and the first thing I see in the first week of school is something different from what my daddy was telling me. So I don't want the school explaining that to her. I want her to come home and bring that to me and trust me enough to know, hey, what is this? And we had that conversation because she was going to go over there and tell the boy. She said, I'm going to school tomorrow to tell the boy that he is not allowed to wear dresses. Only girls are allowed to wear dresses. And y'all know me. I'm like, hold on, single dad. I'm black. You can't go to school doing that because they calling the people on me. Time out, baby girl. And then I had to explain to her, hey, and I told her, you know, traditionally, only only girls wear dresses. I said, but you have some people that choose to live differently than others. And I said, baby, as long as they're not hurting you or hurting anyone else, you can't. I said, don't say anything to them. They have the right to live how they want to live. I said, and that's how I handled that. You know what I'm saying? I didn't push any belief or disbelief onto her. I told her to allow that little boy to do what he want to do. He not hurting nobody. I understand it, but it was a culture shock for her. You gotta think she was 6.
Yeah.
She was 6, and
I mean,
you know
confused the shit out of anybody.
look, you know how your niece is, man. She's a girly girl. Like, yo, Alpha, I put it to you one time, like, yo, she tried to argue with me at 4 years old. And I had to tell her, like, hold on, this is not a democracy, this is a dictatorship. But at 4 years old, I told her it was like 30 degrees outside. I'm telling her to put on her skinny jeans. These were super skinny jeans, and the tag on the jeans were a glittery pink. And she's telling me, Dad, why are you trying to dress me like a prince? I'm not a prince. I'm a princess. Princesses don't wear jeans. Princes wear jeans. As a little girl, those are girl jeans. Daddy, princesses don't wear jeans. I am a princess. I said, girl, if you don't put the I said, you don't put them jeans on, man. You stop
I
playing
can,
with me, man. It's 30 degrees outside. You talking about you want to wear a tutu. Man, get out
I,
of here, man.
I can hear the conversation in my head right now.
I said, look at the tag. The tag is pink. I said it got glitter on it. I said, look at. I said, boys' jeans don't, you know, shape at the hip the way that these do. You know what I'm saying? And so you got to think. We had that discussion, and then just 2 years later, she goes to school and sees a boy in a dress. So now it's like, whoa, dad, like Did what you tell me not true? And it's like I wanted her to do that because how she asked, one of these teachers, because let's keep it real. Most universities and colleges nowadays are super liberal. So 9 times out of 10, the teachers are gonna be super liberal. So how she asked one of them teachers, they probably would have gave her, some propaganda. And I don't want that. Like allow me
That's what I'm
to
saying.
to speak to speak to my kid. So that's what I meant when I said like you gotta be careful putting that stuff in the curriculum
Yeah,
Mm.
because
yeah. I mean, but that's
polit
what I'm saying though. It
but
comes
yeah,
down to kind of like how weed is. Like, they taught us for a while, weed is bad, don't do drugs, blah, blah, blah. And what did most of us end up doing? Smoking a motherfucking blunt behind the school or skipping school to go somewhere and do that shit, learn about it that way. It's like that is a possibility. You ain't gotta rub your hands. You ain't gotta rub your hands, G.
but nah, look, here's the thing though. See,
I don't know that
you
person no
gotta
more.
understand with kids, and you know this because little man is growing. Shout out the nephew. The more
Right.
you tell kids that something is bad and not to do it, the more they are going to want to do it. So what I'm saying is it's a slippery slope because if you live in a super conservative state, your politicians in that state are going to push that lifestyle is bad. Don't do that. That is ungodly. All that. And what are you gonna have? You're gonna have some who follow that, and then you're gonna have some children that are naturally going to rebel. And then vice versa, if you live in a super liberal state, they're going to push sexual liberation onto the children. They're going to push live however you want to live. They're telling these kids you can do whatever you want to do. And that's why I said I don't want it in the curriculum. Like I don't want it in the curriculum. Here, what I said, because I think you might have left. What I said was
I heard you. I
yeah.
say too, I agree with
So
what you said about that. It should be touched on, but not put in too much detail. I can get
yeah,
that.
you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
acknowledge
let the
that
kids
that
know
may happen.
it exists. Let them know it exists, but the school system itself should not go into details of what comes with that lifestyle. I can get that. I can agree
Yeah,
with you. Sure.
yeah. Just be like, yo,
That's and
and
that's
come on,
relevant.
and look, by the time, especially our generation, unfortunately, by the time most of
Yeah,
us got to seventh, eighth grade, by the time most of us got to seventh, eighth grade, we was knocking them down anyway. So it wasn't really much. They was child teaching shit that we was already doing. So that's my thing. Like,
Pornhub was my best friend at that time.
Lord have
hey,
mercy.
Toxic. She called me toxic.
Yeah, I bet.
She called me toxic.
So cliche,
Swear I am not shit.
but I'm not though.
She called me toxic cause I won't simp out. Never get phased or react to a big mouth. She called me toxic.
She called me toxic.
She called me toxic.